Hi guys, Chuck here again for thecheapbastard.net. Glad you could join us. Today we're going to be serving up something that you probably haven't had on your plate in quite some time, but it's a local favorite around here. We call it breaded pig's tail. Most people have pig's tail as part of what we call boiled dinner. It's served up with carrots and beans and summertime vegetables, and usually best served on a hot day. We're going to do a little different. It's the middle of winter right now. We're going to serve it breaded. So if you're not used to having pig tail on your plate, or you're used to eating the other end of the pig and sort of ignored this, you're going to learn something great here today. There's nothing to be scared of, and we'll take you right through it from snout to tail. So sit back and enjoy. We'll get the process started. Okay? Okay guys, the first thing we're going to do is, well, I'll show you a little pig's tail. If you're not familiar with it, pig's tail is not all corkscrewy like you see in the cartoons. It's rather long and phallic shape and can run anywhere from, say, 3 inches to 8 inches to 10 inches. So, with that said, these came from the butcher shop a few days ago, so I stuck them in the freezer and they keep really well. But before we get things going, we're going to de-thaw these because they have been sitting in the ice chest for a while now, and if you saw the lesson on how to keep your ice chest cold, you know what I'm talking about. So first thing I'm going to do is de-thaw these nice and gradually and we're going to get all of our preparations underway. So stick with me and don't be scared. It's quite harmless. So we're going to start off, because these have been in the freezer for a while, putting them in some mild water. Nothing too hot. We don't want to go crazy here. Keep them in the bags for now, and we're going to let them gently de-thaw. Now with the pig's tails kind of getting thawed out right now to the point where they're workable, it's okay if they're still a little firm on the inside. We're going to get the pot ready because we're going to boil them down for about an hour. This will clean them off and also make them cooked on the inside. Now the flesh meat of pig's tails is a little different. If you've never had it before, it's nothing like you probably had before, because it's got this weird fleshy, fatty, stringy meat sensation. Now, obviously there's going to be bone all the way through the pig's tail, and that's covered with thin, ropey meat, almost like something that you'd have in pastrami if you cut it the wrong way. Surrounded by pretty thick core of fat, and then you have the soft, fleshy part on the outside. It's something, it's okay, you can eat it with your hands. It's not really a first date type of meal, but something definitely to eat if you're comfortable around the people who are coming over for dinner, because there's a lot of gristle and there's a lot of fingers near the mouth, so make sure you don't hurt yourself. So we'll get the stove ready here. We're going to boil off those pig's tails to get them soft, get them cooked on the inside, and clean off the outside. Now I trust my butcher, but I don't like to leave anything to chance. Despite the fact that the tail comes from the back end of the pig, you don't really have to be overly concerned beyond normal reason as far as there being any kind of contaminants, okay? Because it's usually taken care of, but I like to exercise a little caution, go the extra step further, and we have to boil them down anyway. So let's get that pot ready. Now, pig's tail is one of those things, when you first see it, it's pretty hard not to laugh and kind of goof on it, and so nothing wrong with getting that out of your system and feeling that out. It looks like, well, not like what you'd think it would look like. So we're just going to take these pig's tails, dump them in there, and it's sure to get plenty of laughs. So you're getting an entertainment value out of that at the same time too. So we're going to continue with this. We're going to add a few more pig's tails in here because I made a whole lot. I've got a few more bags left to load in here, and we're going to let this boil for about an hour, and then we're going to come back and we're going to dress it, get it ready, and pop it in the oven for the long haul. For the most part, this should be pretty hair-free. I mean, let's not kid ourselves. The pig has hair on it, just like any other creature, and we're going to mix this, and these have been de-haired pretty well. Usually they burn them off at the butcher shop, and sometimes if there's a little excess hair on your pork, you have to shave it off. So have an old disposable Bic or Gillette razor sort of waiting in the drawer for just that kind of purpose. It's all part of being a cheap bastard and making do with what you have. The meat isn't overwhelming. It's in there, see, we'll get a sense of the flesh in there, but mostly there's a lot of fat in here, so if you're really watching the calories and the diet, it's probably not a good time for you to start experimenting with pig's tail.
Limelight and the spotlight. Is that?
Take music, for example.
She came to me and cried rape.
With garlic parmesan and traditional marinara sauces.
No, battery's working. You know, you...
Oh man, the pig's tail! Okay, it's been an hour now. We're going to take the pig's tail, and maybe you can see them right there. And we're going to rinse them off and cool them down. Okay, now with the pigtails all washed and rinsed off and cleaned and everything, now we'll get to work on our vegetables. I grabbed a couple handfuls of white onions. We're going to chop everything really coarse like. There's no need to get anything too fine or too small. And we're going to get this all together here. And we'll go to work on the onions. We're going to need a few onions and a few carrots. I'm using white today. And we just have to be coarse chopped here. Next we'll do a few carrots the same way. Trim the ends, just cut them coarse. They don't have to be anything too delicate. And these are going to go in the pan with the garlic and the pig's tail. And we're going to throw in some chicken stock on there as well too. We're going to drench it in there with some peppercorns. Okay, we got the vegetables all cut, coarse cut onions, carrots, and about 3 heads of garlic in there. So we'll get all that ready. We got our baking pan ready, and we got the garlic in hand, fresh and stinky. So let's grab a handful of pig's tails, try to lay them flat, and now let's hit it with our coarse cut vegetables. Get right in there. Don't be shy with the onions. And there we go. So we'll mix them all in there. Hit it with the peppercorns. There we go. Ooh, getting everywhere. Gonna be a big sweep up job later on. There you go. Don't be stingy with it. Hit with just a mild dash of lemon. Okay, with that in the oven now, 300 degrees, we're going to let that roll for 3 hours, and then we're going to have the second stage. The last stage will take about 20-25 minutes to complete. And so for now, let's clean up and take a nap. As you can see right here, it's not too hot. They came out pretty well, and so far they're passing all the tests. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab a couple eggs. And now I'm going to whisk in a little bit of dry mustard in here. So let me just get that in there. Oh, we're going to show. We don't need that. So let's get some dry mustard in there. Just for some tang, because we're going to coat these. What I did off camera a few minutes ago was I took a stack of saltine crackers, and I put them through the magic bullet. So we're going to have some breadcrumbs. So let's whisk these up. Lightly dust this with flour. Not too heavy to make it clumpy. Shake it off if need be, just a light dusting. Okay, go to the mustard and the egg mix. I'm working pretty quick here. Now the breadcrumbs may tend to clump a bit. We're going to give them a light roll in there. I'm not trying to make Kentucky Fried Chicken here now, okay? So don't get carried away with yourself. Alright, things are firming up quickly here on the stove top, and we're going to migrate things over here to the pan. Now it's going to go in the oven for 10 minutes for each side, and we're just going to keep checking on them, and then after the rollover, after that second 10-minute mark, we should be good to go, and our potatoes, which I have been secretly roasting in the background all along, should be all set. And I think that ought to do it. 8 look good to you? Alright, 8 ought to do it. Now this could kill you, so I can't be held responsible for any of the medical implications or the shortness of your lifespan or anything like this, but it's good, and good is what it's about here today. So let's pop this in. Ah, hello Mr. Potatoes. There you've been hiding. Yes you have. Yes you have. Alright, we're going to give that 10 minutes. We're going to come back, flip it after 10, and there we're good enough for me. Alright, be back in 10 more minutes, do it all over again, and it's time to eat. Well, that wraps it. Here we are. As I promised, just over 3 hours later, the sun's set and everybody's ready to eat here. What we have here is regular baked pig's tail, and then we did a little sort of crispier, deep fried pig's tail, which has been, we just came out of the oven, it's baked, so it's nice and firm and stiff now, in that pigtail-y kind of way. And while it was happening, I threw in a batch of potatoes, roasted potatoes in here, and we have the vegetables also from the whole baking process, which we can mix in with the vegetables. Total cost, $8. I can easily feed 6, 7, maybe 8 people here for just about $1, not including beverage. So that's up to you. That's on your back. That's how it was right here on thecheapbastard.net. I'm Chuck Barnett. Get out of there.